Hello there. Thank you for staying with us and welcome to the Beam on Channels Television. I'm Victor Matthias. And now today on the program, following the decision by the panel of inquiry into the alleged brutality by the defunct Special Anti-Robbery Squad to reopen the Lekki toll gate, a hashtag against the reopening quickly trended, and it was followed by another urging those against the reopening and threatening another protest to sheath their swords. This was followed by a stern warning by the government and also a show of force by the police to discourage those planning the protest, but that was not enough as the protesters stuck to their guns and showed up at the proposed venue of the protest. And what transpired at that protest will be our focus on the program today. But before we get into all of that detail, let's see what made the social media trends in the past week.
Nigerians mourn the death of former journalist and the first civilian governor of Lagos State, Sir Lateef Kayode Jakande, at the age of 91. They, however, took solace in the legacies they left during his time as governor of Nigeria's Commercial Nerve Center. Days to the Valentine's Day celebration, 72-year-old evangelist Ismail Badmus took to the streets, urging people to be wary of the numerous lies being told to unsuspecting lovers. His now famous line, Lori Iro, a Yoruba term for "it's all lies," has now become a household phrase in social and traditional media spaces. Despite the viral warnings, those who had genuine love for each other went ahead to express same via the usual gift exchanges, luxury dinners, and spending time together. If your supposed lover was absent, then it was Lori Iro after all.
Oh, there you go. Those were some of the trends in the past week. And of course, if your supposed lover wasn't there for you, then I'm sorry. It was Lori Iro after all. But you can be a part of the conversation from anywhere you're watching around the world. Just tweet at us at Channels TV, at Channels Beam, at Victor_MBIDI. You can use the hashtag Channels Beam and also use the hashtag Occupy Lekki Toll Gate. But joining us today to look at the topic, we have Gbenga Sheson. He is the Executive Director of Paradigm Initiative, a Pan-African social enterprise working on digital inclusion and digital rights across Africa. He joins us via Zoom from Bagada in Lagos. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, Gbenga. We also have Jude Egbas. He is the senior editor at Pulse, Nigeria. He joins us as well via Zoom from Lagos. Jude, it's a pleasure to have you on the program today.
Hi, Victor. Nice having me on the program.
Indeed. So kicks out the conversation for us now. Going by what happened on October the 20th, 2020 at the toll gates, were you expecting the turnout you saw on Saturday when you visited the toll to cover the events that happened that day?
Yeah, I was half expecting that nobody would turn out, given how reckless our security operatives are. I was expecting that young people wouldn't turn out, especially because we still have at the back of our minds what transpired on October 2020. But I was, I don't want to use the phrase pleasantly surprised when I started seeing young people come one after the other. And I saw it all. I saw them being arrested. They were held by their belts, by their trousers, and hauled into a black police van in the distance from where they were taken to the Adeniji police station, and then from there they were taken to Panti. So it was defiance on the part of young people who were daring the authorities, And when we kept pushing out the information through our various social media channels that people were being arrested, to our surprise, more people were trooping to the venue to say, okay, if you want to arrest, go ahead and arrest all of us. I think that's what happened on Saturday, February 13th. Defiance of young people who, in the face of they knew they were going to be arrested, and they kept coming to the venue and daring the authorities and law enforcement to arrest them.
All right. So there was a counter group that were also supposed to show up at that venue for the protest, but at the dying minute, they withdrew from holding that protest. Perhaps because
Defend Lagos.
Indeed, defend Lagos. Perhaps maybe because of the government's warning and also the show of force by the police the previous day. So what happened? What was the reason behind the defiance of the order by the government at that point?
Yeah, the way I look at it, we have to get to a point. We are setting a bad precedent. It's almost looking like protesting on the streets of Lagos or protesting anywhere in this country is against the law, which shouldn't be the case in a democracy. So this government, that's the Muhammadu Buhari administration at the federal level, and the Babajide Sanwo-Olu administration at the Lagos state level, is setting a bad precedent, because what I saw on Saturday reminded me of the dark days, the jackboot days of the Sani Abacha era and the IBB era, after the election was won by Abiola, and civil society groups and organizations took to the streets, and they were taken. They were always taken into Black Marias, from where they were taken into gulags and jails. That's what the country is getting into. And this is a bad precedent, because I tweeted something and said that young people who are cheering all that happened, young members of the APC who are cheering what had happened, should be mindful of the fact that they are setting a bad precedent, because the rights of every individual to protest peacefully is guaranteed in the Constitution, Section 39 and 40 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, if we say we are a country or we are a government that says we are running by the rule of law, we should respect the rights of citizens to protest. What I expected on the day was that police will protect the protesters and make sure that they protest peacefully, not arresting them on site, which was what was happening. So as they saw someone who was wearing a T-shirt, you are immediately taken into the Black Maria.
All right, let me quickly hear from Gbenga Sheson, who again is joining us via Zoom. Gbenga, first of all, again, it's a pleasure to have you on the program. But quickly, from your own perspective as an eyewitness, because you were also there at the toll gate on Saturday to see for yourself how things transpired. But from your perspective, what was the situation that you saw on that fateful day? Oh, I think we're having a little bit of issues with Gbenga's internet. But Jude, let me just come back to you. Going by what you were talking about now, how the Lagos state government and the federal government has handled this issue. Let me just quickly read something the Lagos State Acting Attorney General said yesterday. He said, "We condemn any act of brutality and dehumanization on the part of the police or anybody for that matter. There are three ways to address this. Firstly, is for the Commissioner of Police himself to set up what is known as an orderly room trial. Secondly, if an investigation reveals that any police officer abused their authority and these facts are sent to the DPP's office and the DPP says that the policeman or woman has a case to answer, appropriate charges will be filed." He also said that the third leg of this, even the citizens who claim that they were brutalized also have the option to sue the police to court for this act which they are alleging. So these are three steps that the acting Attorney General of Lagos, it says, can be followed to, get justice for those whose rights have been trampled upon either by themselves or even the state itself. Don't you think that the Lagos state government has some form of sympathy or is protecting citizens' rights in this regard?
No, I don't think there's any sympathy for the Lagos state government. I think what they are trying to do is damage control, PR, classic PR. Recall that before this protest, the Attorney General also of Lagos State had also issued a statement warning citizens not to, young people not to come out to protest, showing all kinds of violations, stuff like COVID-19, violating COVID-19 protocols in their places. So I think what they are trying to do right now in Lagos State, and the police also yesterday releasing a statement to say that officers who treated citizens in a bad way will be dealt with. I think it's just classic PR. You know, they knew that this was going to happen. The Lagos State government, law enforcement, and all of these arrests were going on in the public glare, and it happened for hours. So if somebody like the Commissioner for Police in Lagos State will come out to issue a statement to say we are going to deal with officers who did this, for goodness sake, these arrests were happening from as early as 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. on the day. And it was being reported live on social media. If the police hierarchy wanted to stop this, they would have stopped it. You know, so this was permitted from the top, the dehumanizing of young people who committed no offense. Most of them had masks on, so it wasn't as if they violated any COVID-19 protocol. So what was going on was clamping down on innocent citizens who had done nothing wrong, apart from the fact that you wanted to silence them so that others will not come out to protest, knowing fully well that these images were going out on social media and the message was being sent out that if you come out, you'll be arrested. So whatever the Attorney General of Lagos State is saying and whatever the Commissioner of Police of Lagos State is saying is just damage control, like I said earlier.
All right, we also saw that... okay, Gbenga, let me just, Judah, I'll come back to you on some of those things you said, but let me also quickly again try Gbenga. Gbenga, if you can hear me once again, just going through what transpired at the toll gate on Saturday. But one of the things that we kind of saw that was unusual was the fact that there were mobile courts that were set up on that day, first to try those who were arrested, and also, for some reason, they were also bailed. Which is pretty much unusual in the Nigerian police system and all of that. If you're arrested, say on a Friday or on a Saturday, you don't get bail till on Monday. But that happened on Saturday. All those who were arrested were granted bail at a given sum, of course. But how different do you think that was? What do you think was responsible for that difference in the system?
I mean, I think it's clear, there should have been no arrests in the first place because I was there myself. Before I got there, I understand that some people had been arrested. And when I got there, I realized that what was going on was the fact that anyone who did not identify as, from the media was literally just picked up and taken straight to the Black Maria. In fact, myself and another gentleman, were, being pushed towards the Black Maria until a senior police officer who had, interesting enough, who had asked earlier about, do you guys have water? And it just general human concern was the one who recognized me and said, and then apologized. So what they were basically doing was picking up anyone who was not media. And of course, you can tell the reason they don't want to pick up the media is because they know that if they do pick up the media, that's double trouble for them. So in the first place, there should have been no arrests. And that's why I want to say that, because we could be tempted to commend Lagos State and say, wow, they were arrested and they were bailed. But in the first place, they should not have been arrested. As we say, it was good that people who were arrested were made available on bail. There was a mobile court on that day. But don't forget, a lot of evil, a lot of wrong things had been done before then. Number one, people were arrested. That was wrong because they did not do anything wrong. The fact that they showed up.
Gbenga, let me just hold you a bit there while you talk about some of these wrongdoings. Just think more about them, and then when we come back, we have to take a quick break. And when we come back, of course, you tell us more about the wrongdoings that occurred on that day at the toll gate. But for now, just hold your thoughts for a second, and we'll take a quick break. I'm back shortly. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. We still have with us our panelists joining us via Zoom, both of them from Lagos, Gbenga Sheson as well as Jude Egbas. Well, Gbenga, just before we went on that break, you were talking about some of the wrongs that you said or you felt, took place, during the protest on Saturday. Can you please continue?
So thank you, Victor. So first of all, the fact that those gentlemen and ladies were arrested, because like I told you, when I was talking to a journalist, a certain police officer just came to me and said, identify yourself. And I did identify myself. And I said, mentioned my name and told him what I was doing there. And then he pushed me along with a gentleman who I found out later was a security guard who, along with his friends, were going through the place and basically just stopped to see what was going on. I don't know if he works for LCC or works for any other company affiliated, but there must have been a reason why he stopped. But he ended up in the Black Maria, in the LCC Black Maria, which is another story entirely. That's one. That's the first thing I thought was very wrong. Number two was that the police officer, the senior police officer who apologized to me, admitted that they should not have handled anyone. And what worries me is that within the same space, 10 meters away from each other, there are two police officers, one who is saying, you know what, we're wrong to have done this, which apparently was face-saving, and the other one who basically was doing the pushing and shoving and getting people into the Black Maria, and some of them raising their guns if you wanted to go anywhere close to the people who were being arrested. So that's the second thing. The third is the fact that, oh, by the way, I'm sure everyone has seen that some of the Black Maria in itself is a story that is quite interesting. But the fact that they took people from place to place, one of the reasons why I went to the toll gate was because I knew that there would be need for legal representation. So my organization and partner organizations make sure that young people whose rights have been, infringed upon get legal representation. So on my way there, I began talking to lawyers, and one of the problems we had was that there was no specific, answer in terms of where people were. When I asked one of the most senior police officers there, he said, go to the state command, and basically what we found out was that they were being moved from one place to the other. And now we know that in moving them from the toll gate to Adeniji before they moved them to Panti, these young men and women were beaten up, stripped, dehumanized, and they recorded the video. When you watch that video, you realize that whoever was recording that video.
Yeah. So what's the next? What's the next move now? Now that you have all of those evidences that, of course, like you said, they were beaten, dehumanized, and all of that. What's the next move? Quickly, as we wind down this conversation.
Very quickly, I mean, I saw the commissioner, speaking yesterday at Lagos State will ask questions, but while that is expected, I believe that a few, if not all, of the young men who were dehumanized and the young women who were dehumanized will, and I strongly hope that they will take up this case, because this is a case that thankfully all of the media people, I mean, you said this earlier, all of the media people who were there recorded the way they were being pushed and shoved and thrown into this either trucks or the Black Maria. Maybe, fine, nobody saw them between when they were moved and when they were being, brutalized. But the good news is that one of the police officers themselves recorded a video and shared that video. And in that video, we saw that they were half naked, at least from their waist up. So there is enough evidence to be able to seek justice. But Victor, this is where the challenge now begins. The first reason why these protests happened in October, before October, from October 6 until October, 2021, October 20 was because of October 20 was because of police brutality. And guess what? This same brutality, which the government at the federal level and even at the state levels have said, we've already, removed SARS from the equation. Now we're going to promise you justice. This same government is unable to promise justice. On channels last night, the Commissioner for Justice in Lagos basically said, well, we can't answer for the police, even though you're the ones who met with them and said, manage this process, and now they have committed crimes. And it's clear to everyone they've committed crimes. And interesting enough, when we now talk about seeking justice, the question is, will there truly be justice, given that this is a second level injustice within existing injustice?
All right, let me just quickly, and I mean, like you said, it's another level entirely, but let me quickly come to Jude, Jude, as we wind down. So moving forward now, looking at all of the, the measures that the Lagos State Attorney General made mention of, and I mean, of course, there might be some that I'm not aware of. What do you think would be the way forward? Also, Benga has talked about some evidences that have been guarded and that will, be presented in court as well. But in your estimation, what else do you think is another way forward in bringing all of this, or bringing justice to those who, whose rights have been trampled upon? Quickly.
Yeah, I'm glad that immediately after this happened, Femi Falana, who has been in the trenches for a long time and who knows exactly what this is all about, immediately said that he was going to be on the side of the protesters and they're going to be suing and all of that, and that some lawyers from his firm will be handling these cases pro bono. So that's the way to go. Let's begin to test all of these instances in court, test the arrest in court. And this whole flimsy excuse that the government is throwing about protesters violating COVID-19 protocols is balderdash, because even the police officers who were doing this arrest, most of them never had masks on. There was no social distancing among the crop of police officers who were on the scene. So this is just trumped up charges just to jail young people. So let the lawyers pro bono. I hope that most of these protesters will go to court and sue. And so that we don't set a precedent where young people are not allowed to protest anymore, because that's a bad precedent.
Well, we'll follow the events as they unfold, but I'd have to say thank you to you, Jude Egbas, senior editor at The Pulse Nigeria, as well as Gbenga Sheson, executive director at Paradigm Initiative, both of you for sharing your thoughts on this contentious issue. Thanks once again. Both of you joined us via Zoom from Lagos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, let's now take the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week.
This week's top 5 videos begins with the brutal clash between factional members of the Lagos NURTW in the Obalende area, right in front of formidable police formations.
There they go.
The president's speech.
It is followed in 4th place by a claim presidential spokesperson Femi Adesina made over the issue of killer headsmen in Nigeria.
A number of times the president has spoken on that issue, and his position has always been the same. Anybody, whoever he is, that carries arms unlawfully should be arrested and prosecuted.
Third place sees farmer in Ogun State lamenting over the spate of attacks by herdsmen they have had to endure. A similar concern by residents of Ibarakwa in neighboring Oyo State takes the second spot.
They have destroyed all our farm produce. No single farmer can bring any farm produce from the farm to the market for them.
Nigeria State refused to get that they are failed.
While an arrested protester insisting that Nigeria has failed its citizens tops this week's chart as the most viewed video.
And there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. And also, that's where we wrap it up on the show this week. Thank you for watching. I'm Victor Matthias.